Well, first of all, why don't we tell our audience, how do we know each other?
Well, first of all, we met at Kingdom
Builders.
Builders. Wow, I'm forgetting the name
I
already.
know.
We met at a Christian people in business networking group. Is basically what it is, and I went there for a little while, and yeah, we met there. And the interesting thing is, I never told you this, but when I met you, I knew that I was going to be doing something with you. I had no idea what.
Really?
Yes.
That's that's pretty cool. But it's like I'm kind of also not surprised. Like now that I know you. Tell me a little bit about your business and how we got connected after Kingdom Builders.
Well, as you stated earlier, I'm a professional seamstress. So I have my own business here in Clifton Park, and I make and design wedding gowns. I do alterations. My primary focus is special occasion and wedding gowns. That's really what I love and what I primarily focus on. I do a little bit of everything but that. For me, it's become a passion. It's something that I really actually enjoy doing. I like the setting that I have here because it's intimate, so I can work with everybody one-on-one, and I thrive off of that. So my business, again, is focused on the sewing, but it's about so much more than that for me. I could be doing lots of other things that are a lot less work for the same amount of money. But I do this because I love it, and it gives me an opportunity to meet people that I honestly otherwise never would.
So can you explain your background, like how you got into it? Because
Yeah, absolutely.
you have a background in this for a long time.
My mother was, and still is, an excellent seamstress, amazing. And she used to make some of our clothes when we were younger. And I started, sewing, and I would say general crafting because I did other things when I was about 9, I think. And cut to teen years, high school, I started making some of my own clothing. It was the first time I was like really sewing by machine. And then cut to adulthood later, I then became the alteration manager at David's Bridal. Now, when I first became the alteration manager at David's Bridal, I already had my own in-home sewing business doing home decor. I don't know if I ever told you that.
No, you didn't.
But it was called Gourmet Pillows. It's not in operation now. But yeah. And I started off doing that. And that was part of actually what landed me the job as an alteration, as the alteration manager at David's Bridal. That and my management background. But I really could not sew on this level when I first became the manager. Obviously, I could sew, but not on this
Not
level.
like couture.
No, not on
How do
this
you
level.
say it?
I basically, David's Bridal was my university.
Okay.
I feel like I
Okay.
have a PhD in sewing, and I pretty much earned it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
And I'm sure you also learned how to deal with brides, customer
Absolutely.
service,
Absolutely.
and all the interactions with like such a special occasion, like learning your way through
Absolutely.
people's emotions.
Yes, and you know what? It was excellent training. I had a retail management background before I got into David's, but I think all of that prepared me for David's. David's was the next level because you do have to have a lot of patience and a lot of knowing how to read people in order to be successful in any position in that place. Actually,
How did you get from manager at David's Bridal to Abishai?
well, I'll tell you this story that I haven't really told publicly. I was at David's for almost 10 years, and I decided to go back to school full time, which in hindsight was a mistake. Not really to go back to school, but the way I did it, I jumped in headfirst too much, too fast, and failed. I'm grateful for that now because I've learned from it, but I wouldn't go back and repeat it. So I left David's. Had nothing to do with David's. It was just about me going back to school full time, and I'm like, well, I'll live off of sewing and doing my own thing. And it took me months before I realized that I had to do something different. I was still in school for a little bit, and then I became a school bus driver while I was in
No.
school. Yep. You probably didn't know that either.
No, I
People
did
were
not.
surprised about all the stuff I've done in my life, but I became a school bus driver for a little bit, and had a CDL and was driving these giant school buses, to help generate some income
Yeah.
while I was in school.
Yeah.
Well, I did try to do too much too fast, end up failing, so I ended up leaving school. At this point, I actually don't regret leaving school. I just wish I had the wisdom that I have now, but then again, I wouldn't have it if I didn't go through it.
Right.
That's just the way
Right.
life is. So then years later,
Some of our best moments in life are what we learn from our failures.
absolutely. And I would say I could write a book on it and be the title. Because most of what I now live by in terms of wisdom is stuff that I've experienced. You know, the mistakes that I've made. And some of them I wish I could go back and change. But at the same time, I don't think I could have learned any other way because I'm hard-headed. And those of us who are very strong-willed, the stronger will we are, the stronger mind we have, the harder the lessons need to be
Yep.
for us to learn. It's just the way it is. I've learned to be a little bit wiser since. So God, please don't teach me anymore, you know. But, you know, fast forward to a couple years later, I ended up in such a financial situation that I had to do something different. The thing is, I was doing Abishai on the side. It was never a full-time thing. I was always afraid to give 100% of myself to the business. So I was always looking for other jobs, but still keeping this on the side because this was still my eventual goal. But I never gave 100% until I hit rock bottom. Once I hit an emotional rock bottom and a financial rock bottom, that's when I said, you know what, screw this. I'm doing this 100%. I'm going for gold, and that's it. That's when the business started picking up. That's when the blessings started coming my way. For me to get to where I am now. And, you know, I got to a point where I no longer could work a regular full-time job because of health issues. Because I would have been unreliable because I would have had to call in all the time. And I've never been like that at all. But that's just where I was. And so that's when I was kind of forced into doing something about it and doing something different. Because I wasn't going to sit around and rely on some sort of a, you know, Social Security, welfare / whatever, you know, system you want to talk about, want to call it. So I said, you know what, I need to do this because I need to make ends meet. And so here we are. And then I began to realize that I have some sub-passions within my field.
Such as
Heirloom wedding gowns. I get very excited when I talk about them. In fact, some of my customers laugh at me because I think I get more excited than they do.
What's an heirloom wedding gown?
Well, an heirloom wedding gown is anything that's passed down. So heirloom just means something that's passed down pretty much. So, for example, just as you see here on the wall, we have a mom who wore her dress in 1985. Her daughter now wants to wear it, but obviously 1985 is not in anymore. So then I would modify or, you know, reshape or even just cut up into pieces and remake the mother's wedding gown into something modern for them. I did not realize that I had a passion for this until I started doing it. I had a bride who came to me and said, this is, you know, and this bride lived in New York City. She didn't live up here. She used to travel all the way up here just to come see me.
Just for fittings.
Just for fittings. She could have had, I mean, some of the best sewers in the world are in New York City. Well, at least in this country are in New York City that I feel like, wow. Like, I'm in awe of.
Yeah.
You know, she could have had it, but she still came up here to me, which you know, I considered an honor and a big blessing. But with her gown, I realized that I had a passion for it. I love the idea of the mother passing out something to her daughter because that's, you know, as a parent, you always want the best for your child, and you always want to do whatever you can for the weddings. I worked in the wedding industry. It'll be 20 years this year when I first started working at David's Bridal. So, you know, it's a long time. I've seen a lot of things, and I love the sentimentality behind it. I don't just do heirloom wedding gowns. I do pillows. I've done quilts, blankets. I just like the idea of passing down
gourmet
something.
Pillows.
Yes. I like the idea of passing down something that means something, but making it practical and not just something that sits and looks, you know, sits on a wall.
Right.
So turning wedding gowns into something meaningful, because a wedding gown is already meaningful, but it's even more meaningful if it was your mom's or your aunt's or, you know, or whoever, and you turning it into another wedding gown or a christening gown. Or I had a gown last week. Well, I'm still working on it, but she picked up some of her stuff last week because I made some accessories out of her mother's wedding gown. She's not wearing her mom's wedding gown, but we're doing the ring bearer pillow. I made a garter. We're doing stuff from the veil. I forgot what else, but we're making a few things from her
incredible.
wedding gown, and I love doing that. And what I like about what I do is,
And then you're creating keepsakes too.
yes, I like the keepsakes because they mean something. They're not things you can go out and buy anywhere else.
No.
And I like being different. You people who know me know that that's true on just about every level. I like not being average. I consider average an insult. So that comes across in just about everything I do. So when it comes to designing, I think the same way. What is everybody else doing? Great. That's not what I'm going to do then. So
Yeah.
so I'll do something that blends in, that fits in, but won't be the same.
Yeah.
And so I do that when it comes to wedding gown designs, but especially when it comes to heirloom wedding gowns. I'm sure you can hear.
Yeah.
I love doing them because
Yeah.
I love the joy that it brings to them and the sentimentality behind it again that just can't be replicated in any other area.
What sets you apart from other dress designers? Like you mentioned the ones from New York City. Like, why would somebody come from New York City to Clifton Park to have you design or redesign a dress or an heirloom gown?
I think for several reasons. I house many different skills into one person that you don't always find. Number one, I'm a professional level seamstress. You can find other seamstresses, even though there's not a lot of us around, believe it or not. But just because they're a good sewer doesn't mean they're a good designer. And there are some excellent designers that are not necessarily professional level sewers. They can sew a straight stitch, they can throw some things together, but they don't sew at my level. There's a difference. So not everybody that sews at my level is also a designer. That together makes me like maybe 10% of us that can actually sew, professionally. So that is different. I think also my personality, I'm very direct. I'm very straightforward and I'm very honest. So if something looks awful on you, I will tell you so. In a polite manner, but I will just tell you so. I'm like, I'm not gonna say, sure, yeah, I'll pet your ego and pretend.
Yeah, because that's your
I can't stand
reputation. Because if somebody's wearing something that doesn't look good, you don't want them saying that, coming back to you and being like, oh, Fatima made this, and then, oh, that looks terrible.
Exactly. You are walking around with my name on you, so you are going to look good. That's my attitude. You're not going to walk around looking ridiculous and saying that I made it. No, I didn't touch that. So, but that's my mentality. But that's half of it. The other half is part of the reason why I do what I do is my passion and love, and also part of the reason why I do the charity I do is my passion and love for women. I love to, in our society, I wouldn't even call it an epidemic because I think I think that word is too small for what I mean. But there's an issue where so many of us women don't realize our value, or we feel like we are less than because we don't look like these airbrushed fake people in the magazines. Or like because we eat a cookie more than once a week that, we're fat. So, so many women don't realize, a lot of people have low self-esteem is what it boils down to in short.
Across the board. Large, skinny, like across the board.
And I don't care what demographic you're talking about either. The people who are in the poorest slums, who are poor out in the rural area, in the ghettos, the rich and live in the top of the richest hill, blah, blah, blah. I deal with them all. And I really do see people of every economic, scenario. Across the board, the one thing that's in common is people don't really see their own value as much as they should, or their own beauty. So part of what I enjoy doing is making people see the beauty in themselves. And if you read some of my reviews, you can see that, some of the brides are like, she made me feel beautiful. I get the biggest thrill out of that, especially if I see, and I can talk to you in less than 5 minutes and tell you all about yourself if I really want to.
So I know it. It's happened.
So if I see that, I hone in on that and I make it a point to point out the good things about you without giving you sugar-coated crap. Because what some people do is they go overboard, they try to be all extra nice, and it's just fake. And people can tell that when you maybe have well intentions,
right,
but you're saying things that aren't true. I won't do that. I will not say things that are not true to pet your ego. But I will point out what is good about you, to pet your ego, because we don't all have the same traits, and that's actually okay. You know what I mean? You are better at me than a lot of things, I'm sure. I'm better at you than other things, I'm sure. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a good thing. We can't all be the same. This whole idea that we all have to be politically correct and everyone has to be the same is a load of crap. And I can't stand it because it actually does more harm than good, because it disallows you. It doesn't allow you to get to the heart of people and get to the heart of the issues and deal with people. So sometimes I have women that come in and they just feel like, oh, I just feel fat. I don't look like this and I don't look like that. And what they're really doing in their head is they're comparing themselves to these non-realistic people on TV or in the magazine. These images, whether it's TV, magazine, or there's other social media. There's a lot of things now, not just TV and magazine, but
or what they've been told by somebody else.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not what we're verbally told, it's what we're visually told over and over again, because that's another way of speaking. And, whatever form of media it is, they've been told that you have to be this, you have to be that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be family members. Everybody's situation is different.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, been told that they have to compare themselves to this image that's not them. For example, people are listening to us right now and they're not seeing us. But Maggie is a skinny white girl. Yeah. I'm a plus-size black woman. We don't look anything alike, but we are both gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, we are both gorgeous, but we have completely different looks. I'm not better looking than you. You're not better looking than me. We have completely different looks. And I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to her right now. She really is gorgeous. But we have different looks. Yeah. And I hate when I see women compare themselves to something that's not them. So what I do is very specifically, if you have good, sexy looking hips, I will actually tell you that. And I will say, this silhouette is forming you this way. I don't just tell you you look nice. I will tell you why. And I think sometimes people realize, most people can talk to me in under 5 minutes and see that I'm very direct and just mean what I say.
And so much of our society and the way even clothing is designed, on one hand, we're supposed to, you either have to flaunt it or you have to hide it. And some people are either like too much of the other ends of the spectrum. And I think a lot of women, correct me if I'm wrong, if they come here, they've been told that they need to hide a certain part of their body or feel ashamed about a certain part of their body, about their flaws. But like it's like almost retraining their brain. And what you can do with dress designing is enhance those and help people embrace them, right?
Absolutely. You know what I like to say to people? Sometimes people think that a seamstress we're made of magic and we can just contour you into this other person. No. So no, I'll put that dream to quits right away. Because it's not reality. But you've got what you got. But we can frame it nicely. I say that to people, and we all have different attributes to us. Yeah. So some people, we're talking about women's bodies right now because that's what I deal with every day. Some people, it's, they have nice hips, they have a nice butt, they have, good breasts, they got great cheekbones, their collarbone. Like, there's different body parts that are good about you. So let's focus on that. Yeah. Let's bring out whatever your good feature is. So even though when they come to me, they've already purchased their dress, I can't go back and change it. I will find a way to make sure that it looks good on you, not good on the next person or whatever, or fit into some other little box. That other little box doesn't matter right now because the other box isn't here. You are. Yeah. So let's do what, fits you. But I absolutely think it's so important to uplift other women as much as we can. But do it in honesty. Because the thing that I find very often is people are well-intended, and I know I just said this, but I got to reiterate it. People are well-intended in trying to uplift other women and try to uplift other people, but they do it with putting in a bunch of extra unnecessary fluff. People don't receive that because they don't believe it, and they know that you're not. They're like, they don't believe it because they're like, they're not really telling the truth. One of the reasons why some people listen to me, because a lot of people come to me for advice outside of the business, just, personally. And I enjoy being able to help people. But one of the reasons people come to me is they're not going to get a bunch of sugar-coated BS. They're not going to get a bunch of fluffy, make you feel good, this is what I say to everybody stuff. If I say it to you, it's because I mean it. Right. So if I tell you that I like this and that about you, if you know me, you already know that I actually mean that. And those are the things I see about you. And no, you may not. Some people are not good talkers. So I'm not going to tell you you're a good talker because you're not. But you're excellent at this. Yeah. So don't try to be something you're not. Yeah. And that's something else I try to as much as I can, and in any way I can, in the business or outside of the business, get people to understand that you don't have to be like me. You don't have to be like X, Y, and Z person. You need to be you and you need to discover who you are, because anybody else you try to be, is not going to make you happy because
Yeah.
you're a square trying to fit into a round hole.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
I love that confidence you have, not only in your ability. I heard you say a few minutes ago just how I'm the best at what I do. I'm one of the few in my field. I love that confidence that you have, because I think it takes that confidence when you're working with people's exterior and like what people
Yeah.
see, like that. We are judged a lot on how we look and what we wear, but I think having that extra amount of confidence to tell people that I love that about you. And I'm not just trying to fluff you.
Thank you.
We're getting low on time. I can't believe we're almost I want to try and get a couple more questions in. What is one question that people should be asking somebody like you in their field when they're coming in to get a dress, changed or designed? What's something that somebody should be asking you, but you don't hear it?
What do I need for my appointment?
Okay.
Although I tell them,
Okay.
but I usually will say it at least twice. When I'm doing a fitting, and again, we're talking about my specific field. When I'm doing a fitting, I cannot fit you in a different bra than what you're going to be wearing the day of the event that I'm fitting you for, because it's pointless. I will send you home. I will send you to the shop to get it. I won't do your fitting. The reason why is because I'm going to do a good job, or I'm not going to do it. Your bra is everything when it comes to your dress. The bra is not a minor detail. It is a very large detail. It's a very big deal, because where your breasts are sitting determines the hem, it determines the shoulder, it determines the waist, it determines the hips. It actually determines every single part of the dress. So it's not a minor detail. And especially if you're well endowed, then it matters even more. Now, if you have mosquito bites, then okay, we can put in bra cups and you'll be okay. Sometimes I wish that was my issue. But but honestly, if you are small chested, I've
never heard
mosquito bites.
breasts being referred to as
Just spend a day with me. You'll hear a lot of funny sayings that I say to people. I try to keep it fun. But if you are smaller chested, it matters a little bit less, because you can probably get away with bra cups and no bra. But if you're bigger than a C cup, let's say, to be more specific, most of the time you need support. So that is actually a really big deal if you are not wearing the bra. I won't do your fitting. And even though I tell people that, sometimes they don't come prepared. So the thing they should be asking me is, what else do I need for the appointment? And if you're having, because I do a lot of custom made things, if you want me to have something custom made, bring pictures of what you're talking about. Don't just give me descriptions. Even though we'll look at pictures together and I can draw things out, sometimes what people are describing, what's in their head, is not necessarily what I'm receiving in my head.
Right.
And I want to make sure we're on the same page. So when you're talking about, I want this bow and I want these shoulders, bring me pictures of what you're talking about, just to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay. Got it. Can you talk about how you named Abishai or Abishai?
Yeah, sure.
Talk about how you named that, and then talk about the cause part of your business and why you do what you do.
Well, they're kind of tied together in a way. Abishai was a real person. He was the nephew of the biblical King David, King Solomon's first cousin. He was his chief warrior, which was a big deal for David, because if you know anything about the history of the Israelites and the Philistines, they were always fighting. And so David spent most of his life at war. And to be his chief warrior was a big deal. Kind of like being the top general in the United States. It was a title that big. So he was reliable. He was someone, he got stuff done, and he was loyal. So I like his character because I like to akin it to my own in many ways. And when it comes to human trafficking, I feel like I am a warrior, and at least I plan on being one and try to be one as much as I can right now. But more importantly, his character is one thing. The name means source of wealth. I wanted to give the business a name where you were speaking something over the business. So every time you say Abishai, you're saying source of wealth. My website and my Facebook page is my Abishai, so you're saying my source of wealth every single time you speak the name.
I wondered about that.
Yes. There's a method behind the madness of everything I do. I didn't want to just come up with Fatima's Designs. Yay, boring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to come up with something that actually had meaning. I also intentionally, and take note, other entrepreneurs, I also intentionally came out with a name that was very nondescript.
Yeah.
And the reason I did was because the question you just asked, many people ask me.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I wanted.
You want to tell people about it.
Yes.
What can you talk about how a portion of every sales go to human trafficking, what organization, and
Yes.
why you do that?
Absolutely. The organization I give to is called Kinship United. They are they're based out of Illinois. And what they do is they help the cause of human trafficking, not just human trafficking, but orphans on a world scale. And the human trafficking portion of it was the main reason I started giving to them, but they do so much more than that. When I first started my business in 2010 and I first got my DBA, I decided to make it a part of my business model that I was going to do what I could to help the cause. And so I didn't have the money I have the money to go overseas all the time and help them. I didn't have the skills to physically go fight off the traffickers, because trust me, I'd like to.
Yeah.
I couldn't, none of that was a reality at the time, but you know what? $5, $10, that was a reality at the time. So I'm going to do what I can from where I am. Yeah. And that was my mentality. So that's why I said, well, if I set it up this way so that I give a portion of every sale to this organization, then I can always be giving. And if I become a millionaire, then I will give them millions.
Yeah.
And I really believe in this organization, not just because they help with human trafficking and orphans, but they help the whole person. Number one, they're a Christian organization, so they help them spiritually. They put a lot of them through school as much as they can. They do different things in each country because every country has different rules that they have to follow, but they help the person with food and shelter, education where they can, help them spiritually. Sometimes they get these kids off the street or trafficking victims and retrain their minds, which is the hardest thing in the world to do, to get them to be productive parts of society where they are, teach them job training skills. They help the whole person, not just giving them food and drink and a place to live. So I really believe in their vision very strongly, and I plan on sticking with them for the rest of my life, hopefully.
Yeah. So my last question, and this is a question I plan to ask everybody at the end of the podcast, is what do you typically do for lunch?
Eat while I check emails.
Like most of us.
An honest answer, yes.
Yeah.
When I check emails, messages, everything all at once. And it's usually while I'm eating because I don't know how to not multitask. I don't even watch movies without like doing something on my phone. I can't just sit there and do one thing.
Same. Yeah, I feel like that's a question across the board, but I know for where we are now, I want to, like, this podcast is called Working Lunch, and so I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs are doing just that. They're just sitting at their computer doing emails, or maybe in their car. A lot of times for me is when I'm eating lunch.
I will say it is good to have balance. So in the summertime, once in a while, I will just take 30, 40 minutes and I will go outside. We have a bench and I'll sit there, no computer, maybe my phone or something, and just relax in the beautiful sunshine and eat. Because I'm often here 12, 16 hours a day, sometimes in busy season. So it's good to have a little break like that. And we all should make it a point to do that, even if it's not every day, just to have a little break, because otherwise you can't maintain your sanity.
Yeah. Where can people find you online?
They can go to www.myabishai, that's M as in Mary, Y, A, B as in boy, ISHAI.com. Also, like me on Facebook. And my Facebook page is My Abishai. You'll find a lot of photos there. I do a lot of postings on Facebook specifically.
Yeah.
And you can definitely find me there.
Do you have Instagram?
I do have Instagram, and on Instagram it's also My Abishai.
Okay. Yeah, I love your quotes. I know you do your dress designing and like showing photos and stuff, but your quotes really... Follow Fatima for her quotes, too. She's got some really good ones that are just, like, that get you right there in the heart. So
if you, on Instagram, it's just Fatima.Bay_, I believe.
Okay. Bay, B-E-Y.
B-E-Y, yes. I'm glad you said that. And then on Facebook, Fatima Bay, again, B-E-Y. I have Fatima Bay 2 because Fatima Bay 1 is all full.
Yeah.
Facebook will only allow but so many friends.
Yeah.
But it's open to the public, so you're all welcome to follow. And what Maggie's talking about is a lot of I do post inspirational quotes all day long as much as I can on social media, and 99% of them are from me. Sometimes I post quotes from other people, but 99% of them time, they're just my own thoughts and my own quotes, and I just put them out there for people.
Yeah, love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been great.
I'm so excited to share this Thank you.